Hey y'all, it's been a while since I've put anything out there. Again, I kind of like to listen more than I talk, but a few key points kind of came to mind that I thought maybe worth at least putting my point of thought out there. One of which is just the current Democratic presidential race and a lot of the voices that are coming out that would be Kamala Harris and a lot of the others that are out there. One of the things that I find interesting, it used to be once upon a time that a presidential candidate would come out there and they would spout off all the things that they wanted to do, and they have people like you and me, believing, okay, that's exactly what I want, and I'm going to vote for you. And then around the time of Bush Jr. Getting into office after selling me his promises, it was around that time I realized that they just simply tell you what you want to hear, and nothing's really going to happen. It was around that time that I basically was really angsting, if you will, for someone to go in there, a bull in a china shop, and I was just pissed off, and I knew nothing was going to happen, nothing was going to change until we had an outsider come in. And this was before I even had a glimmer of a thought of Trump, so let's put that aside. And I really wanted, I was telling people, I want someone in office that's not a politician, that's going to kick ass and take names and just do something finally. So there's that. And now I'm listening to a lot of these presidential candidates, coming out talking about all these things that they want to do, and it's obvious that they're pandering to the public. They're basically telling them what they want to hear. And I guess the point I wanted to make, and I'm sure most anybody listening to me now is probably thinking the same thing, is look at the past 2 years, their behavior, the things they've been going on about. That is who they are. Those are the people, those are the beliefs, that is what they're marching towards. Anything they're saying now, as they get into this pre-debate kind of mindset and start putting out positions, is a lie. Is just a screwed up lie, and they don't mean anything. You look at what they've done for the past 2 years, the narrative and what they're saying, that is who they are, and that is what you're going to get when if and when they become president, which frankly I just don't see it happening. I can't imagine Trump not winning a second round, but just kind of be that as it may. And I would hope people out, and I know that the world we live in is full of what I consider stupid people. They're just asinine. They don't know what's going on. They only listen to the propaganda media narratives that are out there. They don't listen to the people themselves. They don't look at what they're actually doing. They just listen to the propaganda. That's it. And it has to be the case. Because I've told you guys this, I cross paths with people all the time, traveling, nationally and internationally, and I get reflexive kind of opinions about things, and obviously POTUS is one of them. And when you really pin them down for, facts, or what exactly are they talking about? As an example, Trump's a racist. You pin them down, they don't really have anything. It's just a feeling, it's just an emotion, it's what the propaganda machine has kind of put on them. So anyway, being that there is a lot of just asinine, stupid, idiotic people that look at their phones all day long and don't really embrace and absorb what's happening around them and looking at the reality of things. And that's the beast that the system has created and stood up for this very intent, so they can control and mind control every one of you. So in any event, hopefully you've paid attention to what these people, this 21 some odd candidates on the Democratic side that are running for office, what they've been doing for the past couple of years. Because really what you do is what matters, not what you say. And obviously what they're saying now is so shallow. So I'd be hard pressed to really listen to any Democratic debate, because I just don't really care. I mean, the writing's on the wall on what they're doing and what they want to do. Infanticide. You look at what's happening in these cities that are run by Democrats, with Chicago and LA and San Francisco, in Indianapolis. Minneapolis, or Baltimore rather, you look at these cities and the Democrats basically reign full control of what they're doing. I don't know how people live in those states, in those cities. I really don't. And I do know people that live in those states and in those general areas, and they're not of the mindset that allow that. But in any event, that's a separate discussion. So that was kind of the big thing I wanted to kind of put out there. The other thing is, I know there's a lot of frustration with our president and what's happening at the border. One of the questions I've been asking is what happened to the military he had sent to the border to control all this. That whole narrative seems to have gone quiet and silent. I haven't really heard POTUS talking about it. I'm a huge fan in his idea of putting tariffs out there to get Mexico to do something. I mean, they're coming through their country into our country, and they're doing nothing about it. I mean, we all know the nefariousness behind what's going on there, so hopefully most of you are kind of aware of the motivations and the agenda there, the deep state agenda for the illegal immigrants, for criminal behavior, for drug trafficking, for sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, for voters, all those kinds of things. I mean, that's kind of what's going on. But in any event, I guess what I wanted to mention there is I'm a big fan of him doing anything anything that he has control over that can achieve the end objective. I know the latest news this morning, and I think last night, was that they've come to terms with Mexico to put some stipulations and some measures in place to stem that flow or exodus of immigrants coming into our country, and that's a good thing. Now, the one point that I never hear anybody talk about, and that is, if you're talking to someone that's all about immigration, they're illegal or not illegal, and that it's okay, you have to. No one asks this question or puts this out there, and that is, we have legitimate ports of entry into our country. Anyone that wants to come into our country legally or for asylum would normally come through that port of entry. If I go to Canada, would I find a wooded area where there's limited to no fencing and cross into Canada for good reasons? Or would I just drive up, go through the border port, and basically explain my rationale for wanting to go to Canada, whatever? Anybody that's climbing a fence, anybody that's going around the ports of entry, I don't care whether you have the best of intentions or not, that's a problem. That is a problem. That's illegal, and I can't imagine there being any rationale, any rational reason for wanting to come into our country outside of a port of entry. Period. That's just me. So anyway, I never hear anybody talk about that. Nobody on either side bring that point up, and I think that's worth kind of driving out and voicing more. The other thing is, you saw We Build the Wall. I don't know if you've been watching this, but finally, I actually donated some money to the We Build the Wall fund, and it was good to actually see something starting to actually come out of that. I was a little concerned in the beginning that it was just another, sinkhole of money going in and nothing really happening, but they've actually pulled this out, and there's video, there's the person that's kind of managing and running the on-the-ground activities around the construction, the foreman, thank you, I meant to say, the foreman is doing regular YouTube video posts of activities and the progress of the border fencing going up, and very impressive what they're doing there. It's not just simply a tall fence and that's it. I mean, there's electronics tied to it. There's technology tied to it, so that if someone trying to cross touches the fence, you know exactly where that fence is touched, and the Border Patrol are notified, and it can get there instantly. So that was very impressive. And frankly, I'm more than willing to start donating more money to it now that I see there's really real action behind it. And maybe that's the way this thing gets built. Maybe there's a way that we can just we can fund this independent entity to do it ourselves. I know we've got tax dollars that are supposed to be being used by our leadership in Washington to fix, ramp up, and do things to the existing fence and border, but I don't know. It's just refreshing to see an actual video proof of what's going on, as opposed to what Trump keeps talking about. And you never see any YouTube videos. You never see, someone on Instagram posting a photo of what's really going on. To me, that's a little weird. I believe him. I believe there's something about our president that I believe that's happening. But it'd be good to see more video proof around what's actually taking place. So there's that. So I don't know, just a few quick things I wanted to kind of put out there. My kids are kind of done with school. My older one, who's in college, is taking summer classes, and he's a little busy. So it's kind of so the schedules are becoming a little bit more free in any event. And then the other thing, and I've been hearing quite a bit of chatter also on a lot of military deployments across the country, internationally speaking. And I don't know if many of you watch kind of Marfugal News. There was some conversations, some call-ins from military people, and they're kind of calling out and talking about a lot of military deployments. I mean, en masse. I mean, large scale across our country deployments to various different parts around the world for a variety of different reasons. I mean, I don't have the details in front of me to really discuss at length, but if you've heard about this, that's really the point I wanted to make, is that's a little worrisome to me. I'm a big advocate, I'm a big fan of bring all our troops home, be damned the industrial military complex that POTUS has talked about, be damned them, whatever you got to do, bring all of our military home and basically protect our own. With all the stuff happening at our borders, with all the chaos and the division and the fighting happening amongst ourselves, with the coup that's basically continues to be underway, with everything going on, I would think having all of our military here to defend we the people would be of paramount concern. So that's disconcerting to me. I continue to be a believer in our president, Trump, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be a little concerned about what's really happening behind the scenes. So that's a little concerning. I'm not going to throw the towel in, because I think, number one, he's the best option. Number two, I mean, the deep state, nefarious, corrupt machine, global machine, including what's happening in the state, has been in place for a long time. There's a lot of money behind it. There's a lot of corruption behind it. I think he's one of a few that's trying to change it. And I don't know that he can change. I don't know that it can be changed within a 4 to 8 year window that he's talking about without some major overhauling, if you will. Because if it's not done right and done permanent, once he's out, once all these people are out, it's all just going to turn right back to where it was. But in any event, the military deployments was concerning with all the craziness going on here. I understand, his point about the military-industrial complex, how they want to be engaged in a push to engage and deploy and keep troops around the world. I don't know. It's just worrisome. In any event, so I just wanted to put a couple of quick points out there, and then I know that this whole series of posts that I put out there kind of started around the Mandela. I continue. I still have my questions on Mandela, other than to say that this conflation or this collapsing of timelines that seems to be going on would certainly explain the complete irrational behavior and mindset around people that I respect. There's many people out there that are smart, intelligent, business savvy people that they're just smart people, and they all have the best of intentions. They're not evil people. We all want to love one another. I mean, I think inherently, unless we're completely corrupted. We all inherently want peace. We all want to love one another. You all want to just enjoy life and love and liberty and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of these people I respect, I mean, they just don't see the world like I do. And that Mandela effect, that whole collapsing of timelines and their perspective of things and how they see it, definitely would explain that behavior and that thought process. I mean, because you just can't have a conversation any longer. So, in any event, so just a few points out there. Again, guys, and girls, I'd like to hear your comments on what you see going on out there, and welcome your input and feedback. And again, I try not to immerse myself too much in social media and all that kind of stuff, and unplug as much as possible. So that's the only reason why I don't really put too much out there. But if something important comes to mind that's a perspective worth sharing, I'll try my best to put something out there. Anyway, keep the dialogue going, keep the conversation going.